What's up, LA? How are you today? I'm Manny Streets from Kiss FM Los Angeles, and we want to welcome you to this very MSN Movies Live broadcast going on right now, movies.msn.com, for the anticipation of Touchstone Pictures, the last song, which is nationwide, everywhere, March 31st. Don't forget. And today we've got an extremely talented group of people that's in the studio today. You guys ready? Yeah? Let's go ahead and bring out the first person. With over 15 novels have all been domestic and internationally bestsellers, selling more than 55 million copies. Oh, snap. In 32 languages. Did you guys know that? 32 languages. Let's bring up Mr. Nicholas Sparks. Good to see you, sir. Next up, I got this rising star. He's Australian. He's hot. All you ladies are going gaga over the trailer. Bring him up, Mr. Liam Hemsworth. That was a stunt. That was a stunt. Next up, multi-platinum recording artist and the youngest ever with 4 #1 albums in less than 3 years. You guys know her. Let's bring her up, Miley Cyrus. Hi, Miley. How are you? You guys doing good? You guys doing all right? All right. Welcome to the stage, the cast. Now, they've all joined forces for Sparks' latest #1 New York bestseller right here. The last song, it's now a motion picture. Congratulations, guys, on this beautiful movie. Made me cry. It made everybody else in theaters cry, and it was an awesome, touching, heartfelt movie. So thank you guys so much. Miley and Liam, we're going to see you in a little bit. We're going to talk to Mr. Nicholas Sparks. Give it up for Miley and Liam. So, Mr. Sparks, your mic on? There we go.
Now it's on.
Give us the story behind the story. I'm going to let you go ahead, vamp, and tell everybody about the movie, the last song.
Yeah, it was a really an interesting project, the way that it actually came out. It was unlike any of my other novels. One of the things I try to do whenever I write is to write the best novel that I possibly can. I try to make it different than things I've done in the past. So if I was looking back on the 3 previous novels that I'd written, I'd had characters in their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s. Also, I had a film last year called Nights in Rodanthe, and that was characters in their 40s and 50s. So I was kind of sitting there thinking, you know, I want to write something, but I don't want to write a story where the major characters are anywhere from 20 to 50, because I want it to feel fresh again. So it's either going to be older than 50 or younger than 20. And I was leaning toward doing a teenage story because it had been a long time since I had done one of those. I hadn't done one since A Walk to Remember, and that was about a teenage boy. So to make this one different, I was thinking, okay, I will think about doing one with a teenage girl. And coincidentally, ironically, I get a call from a woman named Jennifer Gipgott, and she says, "Hi, this is Jennifer Gipgott." And I said, "Hello. Who are you?" I had no idea who she was. She said she was Adam Shankman's sister. They are producers with Offspring Entertainment. She said essentially that Disney has had Miley with a 2-movie deal. Her first movie was going to be Hannah Montana. She wanted to do something different for her second film, move out of the Hannah Montana role. And they asked me, Jennifer said, "Well, do you have anything laying around she might be interested in?" I said, "No, I'm not that smart. I don't have a trunk full of novels." So I said, "But it's really funny you should say that because I was thinking about doing a story with a teenage girl." So I talked to Jennifer a couple of times, and then I visited with Miley and just got a general sense of what she wanted to do and what she didn't want to do. And it was just very general stuff. I wanted to know whether she wanted to sing, for instance. She did not. I said, "Okay." I said, "Do you want Billy Ray to be your dad?" She said, "Absolutely not." But then she always says, "But I love you, Dad." So that's generally her response to that. I said, "Do you have anything that particularly interests you?" She said she loves animals. I said, "Okay." So from there, I just sit down, and it's a process. Whenever you come up with a story, you've got a couple of things that you want to do, especially in a story like mine. What you need is conflict and drama. If you don't have that, you don't have a story. One of the most challenging aspects of the film for me was to come up with this process that brings Miley and Liam together, or Ronnie and Will, what brings them together? In the end, I batted forth with my co-writer Jeff Van. We must have gone over 100 ideas. What you want is, I knew it was going to be a summer story, so it had to start whatever it was in the summer. It had to force them together, even though they didn't want to be together, and it had to end before the summer came out. Normally, it's very common, you might think summer job or a summer camp, it forces them to be together. We didn't want to do that. But because Miley liked animals, we went ahead and we started thinking about animals, maybe they horseback riding, or maybe they help a fox that gets injured in the road. We went through dozens of ideas, and it actually was the single idea that kept me from committing to the project. In the end, a few brainstorms later with my co-writer, we came up with the idea of sea turtles. They're generally laid in June. The eggs hatch in August. I said, this will be something that brings these characters together, even though they don't necessarily want to be together. So I had those two. So once I had that, I thought I had enough to go ahead and pitch the idea to Disney and the Cyrus family. So I was out promoting 4 nights in Rodanthe. I was in Los Angeles. I met with Jason Reed and Jennifer Gipgott. I said, this is the story that I'm going to write for my next novel. And it was interesting because for me, whenever I conceived this story, it was always about a novel, because if you know anything about the movie business, you know that the movies are never guaranteed. But I had to have a novel the next year. So I thought about it in terms of a novel. I said, this is the story in the novel that I'm going to write. Presented it to Jason and Jason Reed at Disney and Jennifer Gipgott. Then I went over to the Cyrus's house, and I really met the Cyrus family for the first time. And I think it's important to note that was probably, when I got back, the single most popular question I got was, well, what are they like as a family? How are they in their house? I remember very clearly, I said, you know what, that's the nicest family you're ever going to meet. I mean, I had a great long conversation with Billy Ray. The other kids are delightful. They had their friends there. We had a very casual barbecue. And I sat down and I said, okay, here's the story behind. This is the story in the novel that I'm going to write. Now, from there, Disney, they had to buy the rights of the novel, but they also needed a screenplay. But because of Miley's schedule, because she was doing Hannah Montana in the spring, and then she had a concert tour last fall, Hannah Montana this spring, she had this very small window that she could actually do the film. So they asked me if I would go ahead and write the screenplay first. And I said, absolutely, absolutely. And I must say that it was great to work with Disney. It was great to work with the Cyruses, because during the writing process, I did not speak to them at all. Once I started to write the screenplay, they had a wonderful level of trust that I would be able to come up with the kind of story that would be, and they knew who I was and what I do, so they knew I could come up with this story. And at the same time, once I got on set, I had enough faith and trust in Miley that she would be able to bring this character to life. So once it was her turn to really make this story come alive, I stepped away as well. One of the greatest things in this film, I think, that in addition to that, I think a real wonderful family message, and of course I like the story, but it's really the chemistry between Liam and Miley. And whenever you have a film like this, that's probably the single most important aspect you need. And it was really fun in those times I was on set to watch the way these two really seemed to light up the camera whenever they were on it together. And that, my friends, is the story behind the story.
All right.